There is a remote snow village where around 200 snow women live. Once every 100 years, twin baby boys are born here. It sounds like a beautiful story, but in reality, it marks the beginning of misfortune. These two brothers, elder brother Xiao Ji and younger brother Xiao Jing, are the only two male members of the village. Outside, they are treated like kings. Every comfort is given to them, but with one condition. They cannot leave the village. Whenever a boy is born in this village, his mother dies immediately. And their father? He is just a human prisoner thrown into a dark prison until he dies. Xiao Jie is a strong and fearless boy, while Xiao Jing is an emotional and sensitive boy. According to the village's traditions, Xiao Ji is made the village chief, but this title is just for show. In reality, he is just a puppet of the snow women. What is happening to him would be unbearable for any human. Both his body and mind were slowly breaking down, but there was only one thing keeping him alive: his brother Xiao Jing. One day, Xiao Jing came shyly to his brother and said, "Brother, I wet the bed today." Hearing this, Xiao Jie was terrified, because this meant Xiao Jing was now eligible to become the village chief. If the snow women found out, they would take control of his dear brother too. Without telling anyone, Xiao Ji made a risky plan. He gathered all the snow women and promised to sacrifice his life, but with one condition: that they free his brother. Seeing the village's rules, the snow women agreed to this, and Xiao Jie gave his brother a chance to escape secretly. But the next day, a hidden truth came to light. The leader of the snow women had secretly sent killers to follow his brother. Hearing this, Xiao Jie exploded in anger. When he demanded an explanation from the snow women, they gave a cold response. "We said we would let him go, but we never said we would save his life." Hearing this, Xiao Jie broke inside. He had no reason to live anymore. He climbed up a tall mountain temple, fighting through snowstorms. Tears were flowing from his eyes, his heart completely shattered. He was praying to God, but there was also anger. All the boys born in this village were either killed or kept as slaves, and he too would fall victim to this horrific rule one day. Amidst this pain and anger, a story begins of another boy who was thrown into a filthy drain right after birth by his parents. But instead of blood, a white liquid flowed from his body. Not only was the boy alive, but his eyes were completely red, like that of a monster. He was taken in by an old woman who began raising him, but this upbringing was not full of love. It was full of cruelty. He was given only the dirtiest tasks, made to sleep outside all night, and beaten by the village children. For many years, he endured all this, but when an old necklace given to him by his parents was taken away, his second form emerged. His body started to tear at its seams, his teeth became sharp, and his eyes turned red, just like a monster. But he was trying to control his rage, because he only wanted his necklace back, which was the last memento from his parents. As soon as he touched the necklace, the monster within him calmed down, and he returned to being a normal human. Then, a man appeared before him, a strange man who seemed to have a particular interest in monsters. He said, "You are the son of a half-human, half-monster, a child born of the union of a human and a monster." This man's name was Shadow God, a famous monster detective. He had been called by a village leader because in their village, every month, they found the carcasses of animals. Shadow God suspected a monster's involvement, but when he saw Xiao Yu, he felt that the true secret lay somewhere else. Xiao Yu told him that every new moon, a new animal carcass was found the next morning. This meant something was going to happen on the next new moon. Shadow God decided to stay with him. One night, Xiao Yu thought he was the one who had been killing the animals in the village, but Shadow God said that as long as the necklace was around his neck, he could never transform into his monstrous form. Then, a child, who always annoyed Xiao Yu, started screaming behind them. Two strange, monstrous animals were attacking him. Xiao Yu and Shadow God immediately rushed to help. Xiao Yu broke the neck of one creature, but the other was a strange animal, half deer, half wolf. It was faster and stronger than Shadow God. Its wounds were healing instantly. Shadow God was also looking weak this time. At that moment, Xiao Yu started to awaken his inner monster again. He punched the creature's throat, and with one jolt, he broke its neck. Everyone thought it was over, but then Shadow God pulled out his gun and aimed it straight at Xiao Yu's head. He said, "I didn't come here to investigate. My real job was to kill you." And then a big secret came out. Xiao Yu's mother's sister, the village leader, had assigned Shadow God the task of killing him. Xiao Yu was a child who was only considered a curse, but when they tried to kill him, something strange happened. The bullet went straight through his heart, but he was still alive. "Do you still miss your parents?" Kagekami asked. A memory flashed in his mind. A little boy who had become upset seeing his mother's old torn shoes. He became so emotional that one day he stole new shoes from a shopping mall. His older brother scolded him. "No matter how poor the house is, you should never steal." But then the younger brother became strangely silent. His eyes turned dark, and then, in a moment, strange, filthy worms started crawling out of his body. They stuck all over his body, slowly wrapping everything up. His mother grabbed him and tightly held him in her arms. "Son, I'm here!" she screamed. Firefighters immediately called a yokai detective agency, but the agency's head, Kagekami, was currently trying to take the life of another unknown child. The bullet was just a formality. He knew Xiao Yu's powers were so great that killing him was impossible. But the bullet was just an excuse. The real reason was to give him a chance to escape that village, to give him a new life. Kagekami took him to his detective agency, gave him new clothes, and applied a special perfume that could erase the scent of yokai. This agency's job was simply to kill those monsters who were ruining human lives. There were two other children there, Jing Jing and Ming Mingji. Mingji was also a half-demon, but Xiao Yu didn't like him. When he heard that Xiao Yu was younger than him, he immediately adopted his big brother persona. But then another case came in. Firefighters were rescuing a mother and son, but as soon as they opened the door, a tsunami of worms poured out from inside and attacked them. The firefighters were helpless. They shut the door and left the people inside to their fate. "What is this thing?" Xiao Yu asked. "This is Sanshi Chong," Kagekami explained. "They don't kill humans, but they gather where there's hidden sin." Jing Jing, who was half spider, thought he could stop the worms with his sticky web, but the worms were so horrifying that they immediately chewed through the spider web. Xiao Yu said, "Let me go inside." Kagekami remembered that Xiao Yu's body was not made of blood, but an unnatural substance. He didn't feel pain. If anyone could do this, it was only Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu dove into the sea of worms. He closed his eyes, suppressed his fear. He had lived this way as a child. Dirt, worms, hatred. This was not new to him. Then he saw a shining object in the corner of the room. As soon as he picked it up, all the worms immediately scattered. The older brother was crying. "My mother was terrified of worms, yet she sacrificed her life for her son." Seeing this, Xiao Yu stood still. There was a strange sadness on his face. His parents had thrown him away, but here a mother was embracing death for her son. "I will find your parents," Kagekami said. Later, they found out that the worms had come only because shoes had been stolen. The worms only went to places where there was sin. The older brother went to return the shoes. She was a very poor mother, just trying to take care of her children. For the first time, Xiao Yu saw humanity in humans. But after this, there was an even greater danger. Kagekami called a woman and smiled. She was a new target for him. In the world, there were only two large groups that maintained the delicate balance between humans and monsters. Tanuki demons, led by Kagekami. Nine-tailed fox clan, led by a powerful woman named Fan Sheng. Kagekami thought it was important for Xiao Yu to meet Fan Sheng, but before that, he gave him a talisman and said, "Be very careful." Fan Sheng was a dangerous woman who could trap humans in her illusionary webs. Even the police commissioner danced to her tune. Just a few words and a person would fall into her trap. Jing Jing and Mingji took Xiao Yu to her office. Everything was much smoother than expected. Fan Sheng smiled and spoke lovingly. Xiao Yu was so naive that he gave the necklace his mother had given him into her hands. That was his big mistake. Fan Sheng looked at the necklace. A strange sadness appeared on her face. Then her eyes turned red. She raised a hand and her assistant instantly decapitated Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu was dead. His head was placed in a box and his body was burned in a fire cauldron. Fan Sheng's real plan was to steal the necklace, which was a priceless object for all yokai. The assistant, Xiao Tian, became a perfect copy of Xiao Yu and started a new act at the detective agency. But Jing Jing and Mingji noticed something was off. Xiao Tian had heard something about Fan Sheng, and as soon as he called her the old woman, the assistant immediately revealed her true form as a fox demon. A fierce battle started between them. Jing Jing picked up Xiao Yu's head from the box. Xiao Yu had a final plan. "Throw my head at her." Jing Jing said, "You're just a head. What can you do?" But Xiao Yu's eyes had a strange gleam. In an entirely unexpected move, Mingji felt that the meatball-like thing in his hand might come in handy. As soon as Xiao Tian came at him again, Mingji threw Xiao Yu's head with full force. As soon as Xiao Tian fainted, the huge fire at the police station disappeared in an instant. In fact, everything had been an illusion. Mingji made a strange face as he picked up Xiao Yu's head, and suddenly, a fierce fire began erupting from Xiao Yu's neck. Within moments, his hands, feet, and entire body began to regenerate. This was a supernatural moment, and seeing it, Mingji felt a strange burning sensation. He started scolding Xiao Yu in anger, but still threw his jacket over him to make him more comfortable. Then, an alien-like man appeared in front of them, someone who had been waiting for Shadow God for a long time. Shadow God had already known that Fan Sheng had bad intentions, which is why he had stolen the Life Core Stone. But in reality, it was a fake. The true Life Core Stone had been hidden in Xiao Yu's mouth all along. Shadow God did all this just to protect Xiao Yu, but now, this had caused him to become even more distant from his former fox demon foster father. Would Xiao Yu fall into even more trouble? In this world, there are monsters that can spit golden silk. In one story, a boy met a giant spider monster that had consumed all the grain in his house. Still, the boy treated it respectfully. The next morning, the walls of his house were covered in pure golden silk. This story became famous everywhere. Years later, two brothers found a similar spider monster in a jungle. It was a beautiful girl named Tha Miantu. The younger brother was a greedy person who wanted to turn the spider monster into a money-making machine, but the elder brother only wanted to understand the true story of monsters. Slowly, the elder brother and Miantu fell in love, and after some time, Miantu was going to become a mother. But one day, the elder brother died after falling from a cliff. The child was named Mingji. Miantu thought that her son would be the reason for her survival, but one day, her son got a severe fever. The only cure was in the human world, but for a monster who didn't work, it was impossible to bring in that much money. Then, the younger brother Zhaofu came and told Miantu how important money was in this world. He showed her a dark and vile way to quickly make money. For the sake of her son, Miantu agreed without thinking. Now, she went to a small cabin every day to work. work. Mingji was left alone at home. One day when his mother didn't return, he opened the door to the cabin. What he saw inside shocked him. There were injections and strange machines everywhere. Miantu was lying on a bed, and an ugly monster was torturing her. Mingji couldn't understand who had done this to his mother, but his uncle Zhao Fu lied, saying, "Your mother is sick. You can't meet her." For years, Mingji lived with this lie. He never questioned his mother because he was afraid. What if she really had died? When he grew up, Mingji joined Shadow God's monster detective agency. One day, Shadow God said that he had found something about Mingji's mother. The truth that came out shook Mingji to his core. In reality, Zhao Fu was just greedy for Miantu's golden silk. He had first pushed her elder brother off the cliff. When Miantu gave birth to Mingji, he took advantage of her maternal instincts and forced her into a biological experiment. His plan was to create mutated spiders that could spit golden silk. So he tortured Miantu in every way, but his experiment kept failing. When his patience ran out, he experimented on Miantu forcefully. Finally, he succeeded in creating a golden silk monster. His research was highly valuable. Anything covered in this silk would heal all its wounds. If this were released to the world, Zhao Fu's name would become immortal. But the leader of the Fox Demon clan, Fan Sheng, didn't like this research. She sent Shadow God to stop Zhao Fu. In a fit of rage, Mingji swung Zhao Fu in his spider silk and was about to kill him when many monsters emerged from the jungle. They were all failed experiments of Zhao Fu, Miantu's children. They were his real brothers and sisters, but they had become human spider hybrids. When these monsters started screaming, their voices were just like Miantu's, who had screamed in pain during the torture. Mingji collapsed. He fell and began crying, his legs growing weak. He grabbed Xiao Yu's clothes and begged her to kill them all. Xiao Yu's eyes turned red. The monster inside her awakened. This was her hunting mode. On the other hand, Shadow God wasn't so lucky. A poisonous monster had injured him. Just as he was about to die, a little girl appeared who was closely connected to those monsters. Her name was Ling. She controlled all the monsters and took Shadow God to a pond. This pond contained magic water. Anyone who entered it would have all their poison removed. Ling told Shadow God not to kill Zhao Fu yet because she had another question for him. While all this was happening, Xiao Yu had killed all the monsters, but her rage still wasn't over. She regenerated her body and started attacking Zhao Fu, but Shadow God stopped her. Then something strange happened. As soon as Zhao Fu saw Ling, he became enraged. His face was full of fear. It seemed as though he would rather die than let Ling's truth come out. In reality, Ling was Miantu and Zhao Fu's daughter. Ling asked Zhao Fu where he had hidden her cocoon. Zhao Fu laughed and said, "If I don't tell you, you won't be able to do anything." But Shadow God already knew. The cocoon was under the pond. When Mingji opened the cocoon, Miantu was alive inside. The healing power of the pond had kept her safe. Mingji lifted his mother and forgave Zhao Fu, but the monster inside Xiao Yu was still not at peace. On their way out, she burned the entire jungle and turned Zhao Fu to ashes. Finally, Miantu returned to her son, and they began a new life together. Two angry men dragged a beggar into a dark alley. As soon as they tried to rob him, the beggar raised his hand, and in a moment, both of them turned into ice statues. But that wasn't all. With a little effort, an ice castle sprouted around them. This was no ordinary man. He was the last remaining member of the Snow Demon clan. Many years ago, he and his brother had endured every form of torture in a tribal village. When everything became unbearable, Xiao Ji stole the Snow Village's greatest treasure, the Lingjia stone, and set out in search of his younger brother Jing Jing. He walked the city, holding a missing person poster, searching everywhere until one day he heard a familiar voice. After so many years, even after meeting his brother, Jing Jing found no peace. He felt his brother had completely changed. He had become cold and heartless. In reality, Xiao Ji was alive only because of the Lingjia stone. This stone gave him unimaginable ice powers, but it drained his life with every passing moment. When this stone was placed in his heart, his emotions slowly turned as cold as ice. But no matter how much he had changed, his love for his brother remained the same. When he heard that Jing Jing wanted to live in a magnificent castle, without thinking, he used his powers to create a crystal castle. Not only that, he designed all the furniture with his own hands so his brother would have every comfort. Jing Jing was thrilled. He took photos of the castle with his phone and was about to post them on social media when Xiao Jie snatched the phone away and immediately froze it in ice. He then locked the doors of the castle. For Xiao Jie, phones and the outside world were just distractions. He had decided that Jing Jing would not leave his sight. This love was turning into obsession. One night, a large ice castle appeared in the middle of the city and reporters arrived. The people from the detective agency were also curious, but as soon as Xiao Ji saw so many people gathered outside, he created an ice storm without thinking, blowing all the humans away. Now, only Shadow God and his team remained. Xiao Ji silently returned to the castle and said, "Jing Jing, I've set up the furniture you asked for." But when Jing Jing came down, he was horrified. All of his friends' bodies had turned to ice. He fell and began crying loudly, but Xiao Ji was only concerned with one thing. "Are you sick?" Saying this, he left to get some medicine and locked the castle door behind him. Then, a robotic doll said, "There's still still some warmth left in their bodies. Jingjing suddenly remembered, if anyone could survive being frozen in ice, it was Xiao Yu. And indeed, Xiao Yu immediately broke out of the ice. But this was just a temporary escape. If Xiao Jie returned, he would freeze them all again. Jingjing was about to make a difficult decision. He shared a plan with Xiao Yu, but Xiao Yu instantly realized that Jingjing was lying. As soon as she was about to escape with him, Xiao Ji entered the castle. As soon as he prepared to attack, Jingjing immediately stood before him. "Brother, let's leave. I don't like this place. Let's go somewhere else where these people aren't." Jingjing looked back, tears welling up in his eyes, but he gave a fake smile to protect his friends, saying, "Goodbye, don't look for me." But as they were about to leave, another problem arose. The fox demon Fansheng sent her ghost flames, which were going to extract the Lingjie stone hidden in Xiao Ji's heart. Xiao Ji and Fansheng both revealed their true monster forms. An intense battle broke out between them. Every time Fansheng's ghost fire approached Xiao Ji, he stopped it with his cold powers. But when one flame was about to touch the Lingjie stone, a sudden power surged and threw the flame back. Fansheng's hand immediately froze, as if someone was freezing her blood. Then Xiao Yu arrived. Her undead corpse demon mode had activated. Her immortal body could withstand both fire and ice. Xiao Ji also learned to merge with his power and the Lingjie stone. Now, the battle was evenly matched. But there was one problem. Xiao Yu could never die. But Xiao Ji's body was slowly deteriorating. As time passed, Xiao Ji's body filled with tiny cracks. It seemed like he would shatter at any moment. Jingjing panicked. She was about to remove the Lingjie stone from his heart, but as soon as she touched the stone, a powerful vision came into her mind. She saw the kind of torture her brother had been enduring in Snow Village. She understood his entire past. Jingjing realized that Xiao Ji's suffering wasn't just because of the Lingjie stone, but because of the pain inside him that had shattered him. Then, Xiao Yu used her powers to absorb the full power of the Lingjie stone, and Xiao Ji's mind began to return to normal. After a few days of recovery, Xiao Ji and Jingjing joined the Monster Detective Agency. Now, they were going to fight not just for each other, but for every monster in the world.